Have you ever found yourself in a position where you're facing a problem or you're facing any kind of adversity and you just have nobody else to go to? I mean, maybe you called somebody that you know, and maybe that person just couldn't come through for whatever reason. Maybe that person got tied up in their own schedule and you left with that problem and you just don't know what to do. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to encourage you. This is where you want to get in the habit of solving your own problems. And solve your own problems, that's really the first thing you ought to be doing anyway. I mean, it's okay to go to somebody else for help. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. But I want to encourage you to always, the only person that you have to depend on is really yourself. I mean, because that's all you have. Even if somebody helps you through, it's still up to you on how you want to do this. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you're the only one who looks yourself in the mirror every day. It all comes back down to you. So let's talk about how you can solve your own problem in case other people cannot come through. Now, one thing that most people don't realize is that they have the answers. You have the answers to whatever it is you're going through. You have the solutions already inside of you with whatever problems you're facing. It's just a matter of tapping into your resources and figuring out what worked for you in the past. All right, so let's say, for example, you face a problem and you don't know what to do, and you feel like you're stuck, and that's normal. It's natural to feel stuck, and it's okay to feel stuck. But see, most people, they panic. They feel like they just don't know what to do, and they feel like just pulling their hair out, and they just feel stuck. Now, this is where you have to tap into your resources and ask yourself this question: how have I solved problems beforehand? Because when you face challenges, and you have faced challenges, you've been through this kind of stuff before. You faced problems, you felt discouraged, but then somehow you found a way to overcome that. You might not have realized it, but you overcame it somehow. So whatever way that worked for you before, then chances are it might work for you again. So ask yourself, how have you solved problems before? And also ask yourself, what kind of environment were you in? I mean, were you outside walking around the park doing some serious thinking and all of a sudden a light bulb came in your head? Or were you doing some meditating and all of a sudden you found a solution? Did you take a long walk on the beach? Or did somebody give you some good sound advice that worked for you and you was able to overcome that challenge? So whatever worked for you before, I want to encourage you to go back to that. Tap into your resources for the answer. And the more you focus on what how can I solve this problem, then the more you will come up with the solution. You're going to come up with more options to pick and choose from. But it's just a matter of focus. You can't panic. Now, another thing I want to mention here also is that whenever we face challenges and whenever we face problems, all of us have, feel subconsciously, we have a voice in our head that makes us feel even worse. All right, this voice in your subconscious mind, the inner critic is what I like to refer to. This voice comes up and makes you feel like you're worthless, makes you feel like you'll never overcome this challenge, and it constantly puts you down. And we listen to this voice, and then we feel even more discouraged. All right, now depending on your level of self-esteem, if you already have a low self-esteem, then this voice can make you feel 10 times even worse. And when you find people that are constantly down in dumps when they're depressed, that's only because they let their inner critical voice feed them all this information. They hear that voice subconsciously tell them this whole thing is your fault and you'll never turn things around for yourself and you were stupid for doing this and this and that. And they have a tendency of believing that disempowering belief that their inner critical voice is telling them. So that's what makes people feel down in the dumps and stay there. So whenever you feel like you're somehow worthless because you've faced a challenge or somebody said something to you that was negative, then make sure you stop that inner voice in its tracks and replace with more encouraging self-talk. Now, I'm not saying think positive. This is not about positive thinking. This is real action right here. Encouraging self-talk. You can say things to you like, well, you know what? If I made this mistake, because I made this mistake, I've learned from this mistake. I did the best that I could for what I knew at that time. Literally tell yourself this right here. You did the best you could for what you knew at the time. You made a mistake. Okay, so you'll learn from it and move on. You can also practice self-forgiveness also. All right, if you made a mistake and it caused you to be in a lot of trouble and you feel shameful about it, then make sure you practice self-forgiveness. Forgive yourself the same way you forgive somebody else for not knowing. All right, because I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, but it's up to you to learn from that mistake. Now, if you face a problem that has nothing to do with a mistake on your part, sometimes we face things and doesn't have that's completely out of our hands. All right, that happens too, obviously. But if somehow you feel like that voice is trying to convince you that somehow it's still your fault, then you say the same thing. You give yourself encouraging self-talk. Okay, this is a problem we're facing right here, but I know I'm going to overcome this. All right. All this encouraging self-talk, after a while, will block out that inner voice in your subconscious mind, and give it a little bit of time. But you'll be back on track before you know it. But it might take a little bit of time, especially if you don't have nobody that's around for you to talk to, or for you to vent to, or if we discuss about your problem. Because like I said, people are not going to always be there for you, and this is where you have to get in the habit of solving your own problem. All right. So once again, make sure you ask yourself powerful questions. Refer back to the time where you solved problems, since you've been through them before. Whatever worked before might work for you again. Just focus on that. Put a lot of focus on the solution. And then give yourself encouraging self-talk. All right? Don't listen to that inner voice in your head that's telling you that you're worthless. Give yourself encouraging self-talk. And then once you do all this, just give it a little time. And again, you'll be right back on track again. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. This I'm gonna leave for you for tonight. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, like. And I do put out videos on a weekly basis, and I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. All right, well, hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good rest of your night.